G'day guys and gal, the Tau are a polarizing bunch. No faction in 40k is more controversial than the bovine bold blue boys. Kinda funny when you realize that they occupy the tiniest bit of space, can barely travel anywhere in the galaxy, and have next to no impact on the overall setting. But alas, either it be their tabletop railguns being able to one-shot pretty much anyone, their culture involving elements of communism, which as an American that bleeds red, white and blue I just cannot accept, or the fact that people struggle to accept the reality that Tau women are fugly and look nothing like the propaganda. People have strong opinions. I've literally read about multiple instances of people pulling out their Tau army on the tabletop and their opponent will then just refuse to play them. The Tau haters will simply say, "Your empire is inconsequential, the Imperium could sneeze and you would be erased from existence. We are just busy with bigger threats right now." And whilst, sure, we all know that the Imperium could genocide the Tau if they put enough time, effort and manpower into it, it's not as simple as sneezing. After all, the Imperium did take a huge sneeze at them and they straight up didn't win. That sneeze was called the Damocles Crusade and represents the first conflict between humanity and the Tau. A conflict that blew the Tau's little naive brains wide open, whilst also showing them as a force to be reckoned with. Before we get started, nobody wants to be ugly. You do your hair, dress up nicely and trim your neckbeard. Well, at least some of you do. But what is the point if your skin is toast? Your slick hairdo ain't gonna cover up your dry, discolored, acne-covered skin. Fortunately, skincare routines exist. Unfortunately, nobody tells blokes how the hell to do them. Until now. Geology is a brand which understands that dudes have no idea what to rub on our faces to make them look lickable. Hence, all we gotta do is fill out a quick survey and bam! A custom skincare regime is sent to your doorstep with morning cream, night cream, eye serum, face wash, and easy to follow instructions. All at the fraction of the cost of what you would usually pay. My regime is focused around preventing and repairing sun damage because I live in Australia, which doesn't have an ozone layer. Whilst others could be more focused on acne reduction or reducing the bags under your eyes. I was doing skincare stuff before I partnered with Geology, and I can say from experience that their skincare system is the easiest to follow whilst also being the most effective and well valued. To help ease you into it, Geology is offering a massive 50% off their trial package, which includes 5 items when you use my link below. Cheers to Geology for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the Damocles Crusade, how it started, the power of each side, notable moments within it, as well as who actually won. Let's get into it. The Tau had gone from infighting bonobos throwing spears and rocks at each other to a race of hyper-advanced enlightened people in a few short thousand years. This was due to the fact that out of nowhere, a bunch of elite Tau, called the Ethereals, appeared and they united the Tau Empire. They had an aura of command and authority over the other Tau, lived significantly longer and appeared to be much wiser. There's a few theories about where these Ethereals came from, but just imagine that out of nowhere, a bunch of immortal angelic beings descended on Earth and offered a solution to all our problems. It would probably unite humanity pretty bloody quickly. This new Tau Empire was quite open-minded and flexible, allying with and integrating various other alien species into its philosophy of the greater good. A way of life which basically says that you should dedicate yourself to collective success with your peers rather than the selfish desire to get ahead. This is where a lot of communism memes come from. As such, by the time the Tau had laser guns, spaceships, and multiple worlds, they were still a very young race, by far the youngest in the galaxy. As such, they were very, very naive. They had no idea what the warp was, what chaos was, the nature and scale of the other races in the galaxy, as well as just how violent everyone actually was. Something that held them back but also kept them safe was the fact that the Tau have very small and subtle souls. As such, demons struggle to notice the Tau, and they also can't have psykers, meaning no Age of Strife, no demonic invasions, or no spastic psykers for the blue boys. On the negative side, they had no navigators, hence struggled to travel far distances as they could not properly warp travel. Eventually, the Tau came into contact with humanity, rogue traders and pirates at first, but they soon discovered full-on Imperial worlds in the Damocles Gulf. The naivety here was cute. Some fire caste Tau, which means their warrior caste, wanted to go to war with humanity and conquer them. Yeah, good luck with that one. The water caste discovered that humanity was actually a fuck-off massive galactic empire, hence all-out war was a really shitty idea. In their own naivety, the Ethereals were like, wait, I've got it. Let's explain the greater good to them, then integrate the Imperium into the Tau Empire. Oh, you sweet summer child. To their credit, the Tau then proceeded to be pretty smart about it. They sent water-caste diplomats to the human worlds bordering the Tau Empire. These diplomats brought gifts and began to trade with these human worlds, giving them significantly higher quality goods than what they got from the Imperium. Stuff like more efficient engines, better methods of farming to improve yield, and way better hentai. Over a few decades, these human worlds became disillusioned with the oppressive shitty Imperium, and they vibed a lot harder with the chilled out blue people that sold them cool shit. As such, they declared independence, which caused a bit of a power vacuum which the Tau filled and took over. It was very cheeky and manipulative, showing that the Tau are selfish in their desire to grow their empire and power, manipulating vulnerable humans in order to dispose of them or use them. When the Imperium went to investigate why the taxes in the area had mysteriously evaporated, they discovered various worlds full of rebellious humans, xenotechnology, and Tau influence. The response was, "Fuck these guys," hence a large Imperial army was put together, made up of Imperial Guardsmen, Navy, and a bunch of Space Marines. Even some Titans were sprinkled in. The first few rebellious human worlds were easy to retake. The Tau presence was minimal, and it only takes a couple Space Marines before people shit their pants and say sorry for being a Xeno-loving faithless dog. The Imperium wasn't done though. The Tau menace had to be crushed, hence they pushed into Tau space and engaged in the first Tau vs Imperium conflict in the galaxy. The Tau fleet they engaged was practical, long-range torpedo and bombardments, whilst using escort ships to fend off Imperial bombers. However, practicality in the universe of Warhammer 40k is not enough. A Space Marine strike cruiser was able to slip into the Tau formation, and was gleeful to discover that the Tau ships didn't have broadside cannons. I mean, why the fuck would they? This isn't the 17th century. Broadsides were so impractical and outdated, yet the Space Marine strike cruiser had it, and guess what? That strike cruiser was now broadside to the Tau ships. One torn asshole later and the Tau retreated, suffering significant damage in the process as they got their first taste of how did these retards beat us? Their weaponry and tactics are so primitive. I guess now they know how the Eldar feel. The first Tau world to fall was Sirk. Its orbital defenses were quickly overtaken, and whilst the Tau military put up a good fight on the surface, they were overwhelmed. The Tau withdrew their important citizens and technology, however millions were left to die. From here, the Imperium was ruthless, orbitally bombing a Tau ice world, causing its colonies to flood and be destroyed, whilst the main fleet moved onwards and finally encountered proper resistance. The Tau used their fleet alongside layered ambushes to take out numerous Imperial ships. Although the Damocles crusading fleet would come out victorious in this conflict, they suffered a solid pounding, and they began to take the Tau seriously for the first time. They almost considered withdrawing, but then they realized how much shit a bunch of neck-bearded anti-Tau Warhammer fans would give them, hence they decided to push on. They invaded the Tau world of Dalthik Prime, the first proper Tau world so far, and engaged in epic battle. The Tau use everything: giant mantis ships, stealth squads with jump packs, big titty Tau girlfriend propaganda, and it worked pretty well. The Imperials were hard pressed, with even the Space Marines having a tough time of it. However, to the Tau's horror, Imperial Titans were deployed. The Tau watercasts had been investigating humanity for obvious reasons, and they did find pics and posters with Titans on them. But they just assumed this was propaganda. Surely no one would be stupid enough to invest the time, resource, and energy into creating gigantic walking fortresses. Surely they would just make a bunch of ships or tanks instead. Well, the Tau were once again fatally wrong, as these mythical Titans strode forth and gave them a spanking. Throughout this, the Imperial Crusade had gained a level of respect for the Tau. They fought hard, tactically, and with honor. So when one of the Inquisitors attached to the Crusade was like, "Fuck this, let's just exterminate us the planet and move on," the Crusade commanders were like, "How about you go eat a bag of dicks, fuckhead?" The Imperials began a final offensive, using tactical genius to suppress the Tau air power and neutralize their long-range weaponry. By the end of the day, the first Tau city under siege was pushed back to its last line of defense, and the Imperium had secured the starport. This was good, as the Imperial commander wanted to withdraw. His fleet had taken a beating, his army had taken serious casualties, and if a Tau fleet arrived in the system, they were all doomed. A few Inquisitors tried to protest the withdrawal, but when an astropathic message arrived from the very controversial Inquisitor Cryptoman, which basically said that a massive Tyranid hive fleet was on its way, As Tyranids are a bit more problematic than a bunch of diplomatic aliens with vaginas on their foreheads, the Crusade fleet withdrew back to Imperial space after negotiating a truce with the Tau. Now, the Tau could have easily harassed the Imperials as they retreated, and potentially even trapped them with a fleet and crushed them. But mutual respect, alongside the fact that the Tau recognized the potential for a future alliance, stopped them from interfering. As such, the crusading fleet was able to withdraw from Tau space completely unmolested. Quite rare for Warhammer for things to go that smoothly. While this Imperial fleet only represented a drop in the water compared to mankind's overall military might, it was still solid. With 500 Space Marines, 19 regiments of guardsmen, and a large Imperial Navy fleet, not to mention Titans. And with all that might, all they really achieved was retaking a few rebellious colonies, purging a small Tau agri world, decimating a small Tau ice world population, and taking half of a Tau city on one of their outlying worlds. Not a whole lot. Since this conflict, the Tau have become way more powerful, which is reflected by the fact that future Tau human conflicts have seen significantly larger Imperial forces attacking the Tau Empire and still getting fought off. For the Imperium to genuinely genocide the Tau now, they would need to muster a significantly large army, multiple Space Marine chapters, millions of guardsmen with hundreds of ships led by Guilliman himself. They would suffer huge casualties, and the impact from drawing so many resources away from the Imperium's other enemies would be devastating, hence why the Imperium hasn't done it. It's not even remotely worth it, especially since the Tau have been shown to be a solid ally against Tyranids, as well as the fact that they cannot be corrupted by chaos. For the Tau, the Damocles Crusade was a huge wake-up call. One of the Space Marine dreadnoughts they defeated and analysed shocked them. It was older than their entire civilization. They thought they were big fish in a big galaxy, but it turns out they were a speck of dust in the wind. Overall, despite the stalemate ending, I would give the Tau the real victory. They barely lost anything, and they retook what they lost when the Imperials withdrew. They earned the respect of the Imperial military and were seen to be a force to be reckoned with, not just a bunch of pushovers that the Imperium could bully. They learnt a lot about the galaxy and how they scaled up to it. The Crusade also ended in a mutually respected truce and parley, setting the groundwork for future cooperation despite how much war the two races would engage in. The Damocles Crusade was a brief, superficial conflict between two powerful races. Their future conflicts would be significantly spicier, so if you want me to talk about them in future videos, then share this one around. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month gives you access to a boatload of naughty ass pictures of art. It is art, okay? Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more damned content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.